Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on how absolutely useless the South African government is, but with specific reference to DIRCO, one of the most useless government departments. Now, before we get into this video, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. The overwhelming majority of you that watch my content aren't subscribed. It's the least you can do and I'd really appreciate it. You can do so by clicking the subscribe button below. Alright, so the Thabo Mbeki Foundation early in September had their second annual Peace and Security Summit. And at this summit, DIRCO was present and Ronald Lamola, who is the minister of DIRCO, gave a speech. After the summit took place, it eventually came out that the rebel group M23 from the Democratic Republic of Congo, were there. Yeah. So the rebel group that is responsible for 16 South African soldiers losing their lives in a battle represented themselves at this summit. Now, if that already doesn't blow your mind, then I don't truly know what ever would. Because you have a peace and security summit, and then the people that killed your own soldiers and is still actively involved in a war is at the summit. So the question is, why are we having peace discussions with people that are a rebel group and has been labeled as a terrorist organization by the United States, by the UN, and an actual report being done by the Human Rights Council of the UN that I will go into just now to show how bad this rebel group is. But they managed to get into South Africa. Well done, DIRCO. Well done on that massive achievement, and all government departments that allowed that to happen. That just indicates how great our border security is by rebel groups and their spokesperson managing to get access to a Thabo Mbeki event that focuses on peace and security. Well, there was no peace with them being there, and there's no security in South Africa if a rebel group can get access to South Africa. Now, the Thabo Mbeki Foundation came out and said, hey, in order to have peace talks, you need to have everybody around the table. That's all good and well, but why would you invite a rebel group that has killed South African soldiers and that we had to retract from that war zone because it just got out of hand? You know, it's not like it's 5 years later and, you know, we want to analyze what happened and get to a conclusion and move forward peacefully. No, you've invited a rebel group that has been condemned by the EU, the US, and the United Nations, and you want to have these talks. Like, I just don't understand how dumb you need to be for that to make sense to you. Now, if you want to get into a little bit of detail as to who M23 is, I asked Grok to summarize a report that the United Nations Human Rights Council came out with late last week, and this is a summary. Alright, so it's also just important to note that this is just from January to July 2025. Now, the Human Rights Council of the United Nations fact-finding mission report, M23 committed widespread human rights violations, abuses, and potential international crimes in North and South Kivu provinces of the DRC. Key patterns include summary executions, killed civilians including men, women, children, even infants, and the elderly, often as retaliation or collecting punishment. Examples, dozens in Minova in January, Walungu, Kabare, June, July, and hundreds in Bishwa, and it goes on and on and on. Torture and ill treatment, arbitrary detentions and enforced disappearances, forced recruitment and child soldier use, sexual and gender-based violence, forced displacement and deportations, suppression of civic spaces. This is who the Thabo Mbeki Foundation want to sit around a table with whilst they actively still involved doing these things. Now remember, that report is just from January to July 2025. That's not even talking about when this started already in 2012. 13 years ago. We're not including all of the violations that this rebel group has done over the last 13 years. And of course, the one that affects South Africa is the fact that they killed 16 of our soldiers. And we had to get out of the Democratic Republic of Congo, because we didn't want to fight this war anymore. But then we invite these people that killed our very own, and that is killing infants, killing civilians, forcing children into their war by becoming child soldiers. How can you ever have peace and security talks with people that are barbaric, with people that don't care about human rights? So there's two big issues here. The first issue is that they managed to get into South Africa. The second issue is that the Thabo Mbeki Foundation and Thabo Mbeki himself thinks that it's acceptable to invite a terrorist group, rebels, to have peace talks and security talks. What this all boils down to is that at a peace and security summit that was hosted by the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, there was in actual fact no peace and there was no security. Because if there was peace talks, then M23 wouldn't be invited. How the fuck can you invite a rebel group that is known by many as a terrorist organization that kill women, kill children, kill infants, forces children to fight in their wars, displaces people, sexual harassment, raping women? I mean, the list is endless of what this rebel group is doing. These people is not the type of people that you have conversations with. These people are the ones that you eradicate. That is what you do with them. But once again, this is the South Africa that we live in, where we will give the United States and Europe and Western societies the middle finger, but embrace rebels and terrorist organizations that are killing women, children, and doing all the terrible things that I've said before. At what point is there going to be just a semblance of some accountability in South Africa, where if you are a minister and this happened under your watch, then you need to lose your position because you aren't competent in that position? When is there going to be accountability? Because now everybody is just shrugging their shoulders and saying, oh, yes, as DIRCO and as the minister of DIRCO, we went and spoke there, but we didn't know that these M23 rebels were there. How is that possible? How is it possible? Because ultimately, who controls the borders of South Africa? Who controls the airports? Who allows people to come in and out of this country? Anybody who is in a political position that should have known this, that didn't know, should be fired. It truly is that simple. So if that includes Home Affairs, if that includes DIRCO, if that includes the Military Veterans Association, whomever knew that these M23 rebels were in South Africa should lose their jobs. And I don't think that there's enough outrage in South Africa with regards to that they were allowed, firstly, to get into this country, and secondly, to go and speak at a peace and security summit. Fuck off. Seriously. Seriously. Thabo Mbeki once again just showed exactly who and what he is. And I'm sorry, even if there was a good intention, the fact that you did this just speaks that you are walking on the graves and pissing and spitting on the graves of these soldiers that lost their lives for South Africa, to defend South Africa from these rebels, and then you roll out the red carpet and you invite them to come and speak. Fuck off. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Smash the like button, subscribe, share this video far and wide. And if you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a member. That's pretty much all I got to say. Till later, cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I went my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I went my massacre. My massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I went my massacre. My massacre.